The Least Developed Countries or LDCs conference takes place every 10 years, and this year's meeting, known as LDC 5, March 5 to 9, 2023, will focus on bringing and supporting needs of the 46 identified countries high on global agenda. They strive to advance on the path of sustainable development. What is least developed country? The least developed countries are countries listed by the United Nations that exhibit lowest indicators of socio-economic development in a number of indices. The gross national income per capita of all LDCs is below $1,018. Compare that to about $71,000 the United States, $44,000 France, $9,900 Turkey, and $6,530 South Africa. According to World Bank data, these countries also have low scores on indicators of nutrition, health, school enrollment, literacy, high scores for economic environmental vulnerability, which measures factors such as distance, dependence on agriculture, exposure to natural disasters. There are currently 46 LDCs, the majority of which are located in Africa. See box below. The list is reviewed every 3 years by the UN Economic and Social Council. 6 countries graduated from LDC status between 1994 and 2020. What are the challenges faced by least developed countries? Today, 46 LDCs are home to approximately 1.1 billion people. This corresponds to 14% of the world's population, and more than 75% of these people still live in poverty. LDCs are more at risk of deepening poverty and remaining underdeveloped than any other country. They are also vulnerable to external economic shocks, natural and man-made disasters, infectious diseases, and most importantly, climate change. Currently, the planet is on a warming path of about 2.7 degrees Celsius this century, which will devastate LDCs. These countries are the least contributors to carbon emissions and still face some of the highest risks from climate change. Meanwhile, LDCs are among the hardest hit by COVID-19. All but 8 experienced negative growth rates in 2020. And the pandemic fallout is projected to last longer than in wealthier countries. Therefore, LDCs require the highest level of attention from the international community. 3. How can the United Nations and the international community help LDCs? The efforts UN system to reverse increasing marginalization of underdeveloped countries in global economy and put them on a path sustainable growth and development date back to 1960s. Especially grants and loans from donors and financial institutions. The first LDC conference held in Paris, France in 1981, and commemorate its 50th anniversary. The LDC 5 was scheduled for March 2022 but delayed to this year due COVID. What is the Doha Program of Action? The Doha Program of Action is the development roadmap for LDCs agreed in March 2022. Leveraging the power of science, technology and innovation to combat security vulnerabilities and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Supporting structural transformation as a driver of well-being. To promote international trade and regional integration of LDCs. Addressing climate change, environmental degradation, recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic and building resilience to future shocks. Mobilizing international solidarity and reinvigorating global partnerships. Full implementation of DPoA will help LDCs address the COVID-19 pandemic and its consequent negative socioeconomic impacts and get them back on track to achieve SDGs, including addressing climate change. The full text of the Doha Program of Action is available here in 6 UN official languages. 5. What can we expect from the LDC 5? The UN, LDCs, heads of state government, development partners, private sector, civil society, Parliamentarians and youth will come together to agree on partnerships, commitments, innovations plans in an effort to achieve the SDGs. The UN Secretary-General will speak at the conference and has already stressed the importance of supporting LDCs. The Doha Program of Action reminds us that global recovery depends on least developed countries getting the support they need. They need bold investments in health, education and social protection systems, which are all the resources needed to fully implement Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. As LDCs take the first step towards these goals, they will achieve specific goals that will enable them to graduate from least developed country status.